Today, we're going to unpack a toolkit of some really powerful strategies, all designed to help you create a classroom where every single student can thrive. Let's just jump right in. So, this is the big question, isn't it? You've got a room buzzing with all these unique personalities, totally different learning styles, and a whole range of challenges. How do you possibly build an environment that works for everyone? I know it can feel like you're trying to solve an impossible puzzle, but I promise you, it's not just achievable, it's absolutely transformative. And this is why it matters so much. Roughly 1 in 5 students has a learning or attention issue. I mean, just think about that. That's several students in every single classroom. This number really drives home the point that inclusive practice isn't just a nice to have or some kind of add-on. Nope, it's fundamental to great teaching.
Okay, so where do we even start? Well, it's not with a new app or fancy furniture. It all starts with something way more powerful, our mindset. This right here is the bedrock for everything else we're going to talk about. First things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. When we talk about inclusive education, we're simply talking about making sure that students with all kinds of different needs are learning right alongside their peers. You know, at its heart, it's all about access, participation, and making sure everyone feels a real sense of belonging. This quote just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? The biggest barrier isn't a tight budget or a lack of materials. It's that quiet, nagging attitude that maybe, just maybe, this can't be done. But before any strategy has a chance to work, we have to believe deep down that every single student is capable and that they belong. All right, so once we have that mindset locked in, let's talk about the physical space. Your classroom isn't just 4 walls. It's a blueprint that can either supercharge learning or accidentally put up barriers. Think about it. On one side, you've got the classic, fixed layout. You know, those rigid rows all facing forward. Now, compare that to a flexible layout. See the difference? One is really designed for compliance. The other empowers students to choose what their minds and bodies actually need to learn. Maybe that's quiet focus, maybe it's collaboration, or maybe it's just a little bit of movement. And here are some of those ideas in action. You can see different seating options, like cushions or stools, which are great for meeting different sensory needs. And that little tent in the corner, that could be a calm down space, a safe spot for a student to go and just regulate their emotions. And hey, notice the organized shelf? Having everything clearly labeled and easy to get to helps every student become way more independent. Okay, our space is set up for success. Now it's time to open up our educator's toolbox and look at the actual teaching strategies that bring an inclusive classroom to life. The absolute key framework here is something called Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. The best way to think about it is like this. Imagine a ramp built next to a flight of stairs. Now, that ramp is essential for someone in a wheelchair, right? But it's also super helpful for a parent with a stroller or a delivery person with a hand truck. UDL is the same idea. It's about designing our lessons to work for everyone right from the very start. So UDL really stands on 3 main pillars. First is representation. This is the what of learning. It just means giving students lots of ways to take in information, not just text, but maybe audio and video too. Second is action and expression. This is the how of learning. It means offering different ways for them to show you what they know. And third, and this is so crucial, is engagement. This is the why of learning. It's all about tapping into their interests to really spark that motivation. Another really powerful tool is differentiation. So if UDL is kind of the universal blueprint for the whole lesson, differentiation is how we make specific tweaks for individual learners within that lesson. And as you can see here, we can adapt the content, so what students learn, we can adapt the process, how they learn it, and we can adapt the product, how they show us they've learned it. We've covered mindset, we've covered the environment, and we've covered instruction. But all of those pieces are really held together by one thing, a strong community, where every single student feels like they genuinely belong. And that sense of community, well, it doesn't just happen by accident. We have to build it on purpose. Simple things, like a peer buddy system, can spark real friendships. Using cooperative learning groups teaches students to value and rely on each other's unique strengths. And when we actually teach empathy and celebrate what makes each student different, that's when we create a true culture of respect. So how do we pull this all together? Let's boil it all down to the 4 essential pillars that make all of this work. It really all comes down to these 4 pillars. Number 1, our mindset, that unwavering belief that all students can do it. Number 2, a flexible environment that serves all kinds of different needs. 3,
teaching with variety, using those awesome tools like UDL. And 4, nurturing a strong community where everyone feels like they belong. These pillars hold it all up.
Look, this is a journey, not a destination. You do not have to overhaul your entire classroom overnight. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. What is one small, totally manageable change you can make tomorrow to create a more welcoming space for every single one of your learners?